Hey, it's Scott. And for the past couple days, we've been here in beautiful Miami at a disaster medicine conference. And in the exhibit hall, we had the pleasure of meeting Wendy, who is an epidemiologist from the Florida Poison Control Centers. And with that in mind, what we wanted to touch on in this Give Me Five is something that, from my perspective, having been an ER nurse for over 30 years, I actually thought was really pretty intriguing and interesting. And that really comes down to simply who actually calls poison control, and it's honestly not who I would have thought.
Well, it's interesting. So as an epidemiologist, I track, who utilizes the service, and then also, of course, who gets poisoned. And so we keep track of those things so that we can do more work with prevention and promote the service to people who underutilize in our view. So one thing that's interesting is we do get better utilization from our hospitals who primarily serve children. But even in those hospitals, we are not consulted on the majority of poisonings as coded by the hospital. So through the ICD-10 codes. So we know we could be helping a lot more of our providers. So we are there to assist, and not just for children, right? We would actually like to do more work on adult poisonings as well. So we're there to treat things like, any type of pain medicine mistake or overdose, gas exposures, chemicals, all the different things that you might see in an ED that have a toxicology sort of dimension. We really would love for people to use us more. Like, our services are free, they're immediate, they're confidential, and we follow up cases. So that's that extra level of case management that I think a lot of facilities just don't know we provide.
So with that, we were talking earlier about specifically a couple things, but first of which is who calls. And my perspective, not liking adults and predominantly focusing on sick children, I would have imagined that the vast majority of calls that you would get involve kids.
I think we're almost a victim of our own success historically. We started really with a pediatric focus, but over the years we've grown to be serving everyone of all ages. And when we talk about saving lives from poisoning, about 96% of the people who die from poisoning are in fact grown-ups. And so we've been making efforts to broaden our outreach and to be providing services to everyone. So that older adult who's made the medicine mistake, the adult who has combined their allergy medicine with alcohol and is now impaired. So we can address poisonings in people of all ages. And I think I would love it if someday our call, the distribution of the people who call us really just matched the population. Because if you're human, you breathe air, you eat food, you clean the house, you walk outside, really anyone can be poisoned.
Sure. So again, it's one of those things that's not just for children.
Not at all.
With 96% of the calls being big people, that's
Not
beyond
the calls,
far more. I'm
not
sorry.
the calls, the deaths,
The
right?
deaths.
So our call breakdown, so for instance, here in Florida, our population is a bit older. And so here our calls from our children 5 and under is about 36% of our calls.
Okay.
So it's still a big chunk, and we're happy to help families, obviously. We love doing that. But we really are helping a lot of adults too. And I think that's one of the most challenging things we have to do as poison centers, is to let people know, we're really not only for children.
Right. Wendy, as always, thank you so much, and we'll see you in next week's Give Me Five.
Yeah.